I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Hey, welcome to Project Recovery, a podcast about addiction, but more importantly, it's about recovery. My name is Casey Scott, and my road to recovery began with Pinnacle Recovery Center. If you know somebody who needs some help, have them do what I did and give Pinnacle Recovery Center a call. Dr. Matt?
How we doing?
I'm pretty good. I did a thing yesterday.
What'd you do?
I went to court.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's great.
No, this is actually really is great.
Oh, it is?
So
okay.
I was asked to come speak at the Davis County Family Dependency Drug Treatment Court graduation.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
And the crazy thing is it's about 15 months after I was in the court.
Yeah.
For my own issues.
For your own issues, right.
And so it was kind of surreal, man, walking in there and, talking to a judge without having to say yes or no, sir. I did
you should
say,
probably still say that.
I did. I said yes, sir, and he goes, it's okay because we weren't in court.
We weren't in court. Okay.
Yeah, and KSL came up and shot a story about it.
Okay.
But they just wanted somebody to come and talk to this, and her name was Monica. She was amazing, and her story was fabulous.
So you spoke to one person?
Well, yeah, because she was graduating from the program.
Oh, she was the only graduate.
And she got up, and because you graduate at your own pace, you have to do certain things. Judge Neal got up and kind of talked about the program. In the 14 months she was there, she spent 80 hours in court.
80 hours?
80 hours in court.
Doing what? Washing windows?
No. This is part of the program. They get you back on your feet. They help you reacclimate into life. She got her kids back. She was telling her story. At one point, she was behind a Harmon's drinking. She had lost her 2 kids and didn't know where to turn. And she got into this program. And Judge Neal was saying when she first walked in, Monica, she looked at the judge. She looked at the door. She looked at the judge. She looked at the bailiff.
Because it's voluntary.
Right?
Yeah.
She looked at the door.
Yeah,
and
trying to decide if she should
And the
stay.
judge and the bailiff have this look like, we got a runner.
Yeah.
We got a runner.
Yeah.
But she didn't run.
Do they play that Clash song?
No.
Should I stay or should I? No, they don't.
They probably could.
They should, yeah.
But she stayed. And 14 months later, she's reunited with her kids.
Oh, that's great.
The foster mom who was taking care of her kids while she was going through this came and spoke.
Yeah.
And it was like, everybody was in tears.
Oh, I bet.
It was a very cool thing to be a part of.
Wow.
And so it just reaffirms my belief.
What was your message? What did you say?
Well, I just kind of talked about my story and said that, I've been where you have. As a matter of fact, I was just there 13 months ago and not knowing where my life was going to go and seeing a year ahead of me, I couldn't even fathom what that looks like. And I said, the reality is if you just put one foot in front of the other, after a year you look back and you've traveled some distance and it is possible. And I did speak a little bit, which is going to tie into our guest today on Project Recovery, the importance of family, that addiction is a family disease.
Well, and this program, the success of this program, validates what we've talked about here on the show and what a lot of people around the country and the world are talking about, and that is how the real solution to addiction is connection.
Yes.
It's not necessarily sobriety. Sobriety comes with it, but it's connection and helping her reconnect with a purpose in life, reconnect with her children. That reconnection keeps a person healthy, safe, and sober.
Judge Neal was crying, and
Really?
after I got done interviewing him for KSL TV, the reporter goes, I've never really seen a judge cry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't think that was allowed, or they removed the tear ducts or something.
And he said, I've never seen a judge spend so much time with one defendant.
Well, I so appreciate judges and attorneys who take that point of view with the people that they come across and work with, because they can make such a huge difference in a person's life. I love this program. It's a great program.
It's an amazing program. And when you think about it in the active addiction world, it's often posed as us versus them.
Right.
Like, we're going to get one away on them. They're going to get us. It's this cat and mouse type of deal. But it shouldn't be like that.
No.
Because, for the most part, I don't think anybody wants bad stuff to happen to you. You do have to pay consequences for your actions, and that's what they're there for. But I don't think they enjoy.
Well, consequences happen, but consequences don't change people's behavior. We think that's the idea, I think, of consequences, reparations, payback. But it's connection, it's love, it's support, it's education. Those are the things that change and improve a person's life. Just having a consequence doesn't.
Yeah.
But I realize consequences do need to happen in certain cases. But a program like this is really where I think we can stop making it us versus them, and it's a joint effort to get people healthy.
It takes a team. It takes a village.
Yeah, thanks, Hillary.
Yeah, is that what she says?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's her whole book.
I thought it was because I'm wearing a pantsuit.
Oh, yeah, you do look nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I also want to thank Tiffany Chambers. She's the one that reached out to me and asked me to come, and she's an old friend of mine. And, so it was. I was just honored to be asked there. And
well, I hope we can hear more from this program over time.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have some of the graduates come on.
I talked to Monica and I said, hey, I'd love to have you on. And she goes, well, I think everything's still a little bit new.
Sure.
And this is where the rubber meets the road, because now she's a graduate. Right. She's got all her freedoms back. She got herself an apartment. She's got a car. She's got a job.
She's with her kids.
She's with her kids.
Okay.
And so now she's going to start going out there and testing the knowledge and using the tools that she gained.
Well, maybe Judge Neal. Do you think we could have him come on?
I'll ask him.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll make him cry.
You can?
I don't know. Probably not. I'll try.
But speaking of crying, our guest today said she might cry, and I told her that I'd have tissue. King. I said I'd have tissue. I don't have tissue, but I can run and get you tissue. But we are talking about how addiction is a family problem. So Dr. Matt sent me over this flyer, and her name is Darlene. She's with USARA, and you guys have launched this family program, and we're going to get to that in just a second. But we always like to find out how somebody got into the recovery world. So, Darlene, how did you get into the recovery world?
Well, it actually starts clear back when my son was 18 years old and had graduated from high school 6 months early.
Smart kid.
Yeah. Before going off to college, he wanted to work at Home Depot save up some money, and he had a degenerative back disease, same disease that I have, and we managed his pain through his teenage years with ibuprofen and physical therapy, which is how I've always managed my back pain. But he needed something a little bit stronger because he was working and he was 18, and he came to me and said, I'm going to the doctor. I need something stronger than ibuprofen to help me with my job. I said, I'm fine with that, but do not get Lortab. I had a brother that struggled with some Lortab addiction, and I just didn't want him to go down that road. He promised no Lortab. So he came home with a prescription of OxyContin, and I was like, whew, it's not Lortab.
Dodge the Lortab train.
I had no idea what OxyContin was, and I had no idea how fast it could take somebody down. Within 3 months, he was pretty dependent on it, and the doctor cut him off, and he turned to the street, started buying pills off the street, using every penny he had earned to fund his $80 a pill OxyContin.
Wow.
And eventually turned to the heroin, which was much cheaper.
So that escalated quite quick.
Yeah, within 6 months. He had graduated in May, walked with his class, and by June he was on heroin.
Wow.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And having a brother that, used Lortab and all that, were you kind of wise to what was going on in the early stages?
I thought I was. I wish I knew then what I know now. But no, yeah, I could tell that his behaviors were much different. And he was honest and came to us and told us, I've got a problem. Here's my problem. And he did want help. He didn't like it. He never liked what he was doing. So, of course, being the mama bear, I did what I was supposed to do and threw him into treatment and intensive outpatient and sending him to AA and everything I could possibly do.
Knowing what you knew.
Right. And my thought was once they go through treatment, they get better and they go back to the way they were.
Problem fixed.
Yeah. And he would be, his same little Adam.
A little bump in the road.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't quite work that way. That I guess I just never thought about that. You can get it out of your system and physically, be off of everything. But I think the brain is the brain crave is what pulled him back.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
The brain is powerful.
It's super powerful.
And those medications create changes in our brain and the way the brain functions. And so you're right, even though it may technically, the substance may be out of the system, the brain is still craving that substance. And so you're right, it's not as simple as just getting clean or getting off of an opioid because of the effect that lingers.
And I just wanted him to stop. I just thought, you can just stop doing this.
Mm-hmm.
There's other ways to deal with this.
Especially since he came to you so quickly and told you he had a problem. I think that's important for listeners to understand and hear what you're saying is this wasn't something he was enjoying. Yeah. I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have, that people are popping these pills and maybe eventually turning to heroin because it's cheaper, because somehow they're partying or having fun. And more often than not, the person, him or herself, knows that they don't want any more of this. They want to be free from this substance, but it's so powerful that it just gets the hooks in them.
And it became survival.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point.
So you're telling me in 6 months from Oxycontin to heroin, he was buying it on the streets.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He wasn't injecting, he was smoking it. So as a mom, I did the most logical thing. I locked all of our tinfoil in the safe because then he couldn't smoke, right? Mm-hmm. And to me at that time, it made sense.
Well, you're doing the best
7-Eleven's a block away, and
right.
I'm thinking, well, I'll lock the tinfoil up, then he can't smoke it.
Yeah.
Well, you just don't think that way, that they can walk a block away and get another.
Right, yeah.
But, when you're desperate, you're a family member and you're desperate to help and stop this, it was like a runaway train. And the more I did, the more, the further along he got. I just kept trying to stop this, and it was impossible. And it just went from bad to worse. And to a point where I started recording his phone calls, and I caught a break. He was meeting up with a drug dealer in West Valley, and I was going to stop this once and for all. I jumped in my little white minivan and headed to West Valley.
You were going to talk to the drug dealer?
Oh, I was going to stop this.
What were you going to say to him?
Well, I didn't know, but I had a little time to think about it, and I still didn't know when I pulled up. I pulled up, and I saw the drug dealer pull up, and my son's car pull up behind the drug dealer, and I took my minivan and blocked the drug dealer in. Jumped out of the car and took off running. This was over 10 years ago, so today I think I would be in big trouble if I tried that. But
and the drug dealer goes, "Is that your mom?"
Something like that. I can't even tell you what happened after that. I know my son jumped out of the car and said, "Are you crazy? You need help." And he jumped in my minivan.
You had a minivan to do
I
this.
had my little white minivan, yes.
Story.
And he jumped in my minivan. He moved the minivan in, and the drug dealer took off. And he looked at me and said, "Go get help." Jumped in his car and took off. And I stood there in the middle of the street alone, going, "Uh-oh, that didn't work out like I had planned." And
but I loved that you were willing to do anything.
Anything as a parent, yes.
But you wouldn't recommend other moms
I would
with their
not
minivans
recommend that at
take
all,
down
especially
drug dealers,
today,
right?
because I don't know, I'd probably be shot in the face today if I tried something
Well,
like
I think
that.
even 10 years ago, that was a pretty big risk you ran. But I think that's a good theme for our discussion today about trying to help families. Is it drove you to the point where you were, like Casey said, willing to do anything, even something that's pretty ill-advised and very risky, very dangerous. You don't know what you're going to meet when you get yourself into a situation like that, but your love and desire to help your son was so strong that you were literally willing to do anything.
Definitely. And so after that, he was seeing a counselor, and he went to his counselor and told him what I did. I got a phone call from his counselor, and that's where USARA comes in. He called me up and said, we're starting a family support group, and I think you need to come to this. And so I went to that first class. They had just started it's called CRAFT, Community Reinforcement and Family Training. And I went to that class thinking, oh, finally, somebody's going to help me fix my kid. Mm-hmm. You know, I just went there expecting them to say, okay, here's what you need to do to help him get better.
Yeah.
And when I sat in the first class and they asked me what I'm doing to take care of myself, I was like, well, wait a minute.
It's my son, the one that has the problem.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's I'm here to fix my kid. So, and they said, no, unless you take care of yourself, you're not going to be any good to your kid. Mm-hmm. And a lot of families think that I'll take care of myself when my loved one gets better.
And what's the problem with that approach? Because it does sound like what most parents would think. So why is that a problem?
Because if you're not taking care of yourself, it's like we use the oxygen or the airline analogy. You put that oxygen mask on yourself before your loved one because you're no good to them. I wasn't doing any good.
Yeah.
I was running around like a crazy person, and my health was failing and everything. I mean, I was.
Can you talk a little bit about what effect that had on you? Because it is a pretty. You're telling it with a smile on your face, but this is a tragic story to have this bright, motivated young man who you loved graduate from high school early, and before he can even get off to college, has developed a horrible addiction. What effect did that have on you?
On my health, a lot. I probably gained 80 pounds. I had an ulcer that ended up turning into a perforated ulcer. I ended up in the ICU for 7 days.
Yeah.
It just takes a toll on your whole health.
All that stress.
Everything. The
And
stress.
it wasn't even your addiction.
And it wasn't even mine. And the sad part is I was a school teacher. I was a first grade school teacher. And I didn't want anybody to know that I had a son that was addicted to heroin. Because
the stigma.
I was afraid they wouldn't want their kids in my class. We don't want our child in somebody's class that has a son on heroin. I was so concerned about that as well. And so I kept that secret hidden in the back of my heart and trying to fix it before anybody would find out. And I didn't want families or people to think that my son was a bad kid, because he wasn't a bad kid.
Right.
And I wasn't a bad mom. And we talk about recovery all the time. It's not about making a bad person good. It's helping someone sick get well. And
I love that.
Yeah, that's.
Say that one more time.
Recovery is not about making a bad person good. It's about helping someone sick get well.
The contents of this program are for informational purposes only. The program is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed therapist, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this program. KSL does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the program. Reliance on any information provided on the program is solely at your own risk.